Zach's got a good question. Could you use algebra to unwind it? It's extraordinarily messy. Yes, you can do it, but you have to unintegrate, wait a minute, I gotta say this right. Unintegrate a numerically approximated quantity. And it is, nobody does it that way. Not even mathematicians do it that way. So yeah, you can do it, I just don't want you doing it. Is that fair? Okay, maybe it's not fair, but it's, yeah. Have you taken calculus before? No. Okay, we'll talk sometime. And I'll explain to you why you don't want to do it that way. Okay, here we go. More probabilities, yes. Forward or backward? Backward. Okay. Which way is the area going to shade? It looks like we shaded to the right, yes? We shaded 5% to the right. So let's go to the right. What's the percentage?
0.05.
Right. Make sure you put the 0 in there. One of my poor 244s today was trying to put in 0.3% and called it 3. I'm like, ooh, that's only off by like 200. 0.05? Yes. Okay, the graph should match what we drew, and it does, yes, it does. The z-score is 1.64. We now have, your algebra's coming, Zach. The algebra we're about to do is going to make a lot more sense. We now have a z-score that is usable. So let's slide over here. Okay. I'm going to do it in red, just like I did last time. So now we're kind of at this level here. Zero's in the middle, average, that's 100, we know that. This guy's at 1.64. It's positive. Why does positive make sense? It's above average from the right-hand side, so it should be positive. Negatives will be below average. So those are the morons and whistle idiots. 100. Question is, what's that?
1 is 15.
Boom! So Zach's already going to, okay, we can get close to this, can't we? If we go out 1, we know it's 115. And that would correspond to a z-score of 1. Okay. So we got to go 1.64. Any ideas?
130 is 2.
What? I love what you guys are doing. You know that 130 is 2, and 115 is 1, and 1.64 is like a little bit between more towards the 130 than the 1. Yeah, see what's going on here? So we can guess it's somewhere between 115 and 130. Probably closer to 130 than 115, yeah? Can we think of a really slick, direct way of getting it without having to do that?
0.66.
Why can't we just do a little tiny bit of algebra, not to piss anybody off, but we can do a smidge bit of algebra, can't we? If you think about it. Remember how we got these conversions here? These conversions here were it was a z-score conversion. We said, okay, we take the average, or excuse me, the sample data minus the average over the standard deviation. Well, as long as you know 3 of those things, you can get the 4th. Well, you know 3 of them over there. You know that 1.64 is the z-score. You know that's 15, and you know that is 100. Which means you can solve for that, can't you? Is that fair?
That was my question.
No, that was your question, Zach. It's a brilliant question. And yes, the answer, I thought you meant to get the z-score itself from, oh God, yeah, once you have the z-score, my God, yes, please, let's do algebra. Yeah, sorry, yes. We don't have to have a discussion about calculus anymore. Can we just, yeah, exactly, Eric, solve for x. Can I just solve for x in this? Is it okay with you guys if I do that? If we just multiply by sigma, z times sigma, and then it looks like if we add the average over, we get plus mu equals x. Does that seem like, I thought it seemed like magic. Doesn't seem like magic. Just solving for x. So that times that plus that. If you don't like the algebra, think of it this way. If you don't like the algebra, think of it this way. Whatever the score is above 100, yeah? So it's going to be 100 plus something. Plus how much? Well, it's 1.64 standard deviations. So it's 1.64 times 15. 1 times 15 is 115. 2 times 15 is 30. 1.64 times 15 will give us how much up from 100 it's going to be. Does that make sense conversationally? Well, that's what this says. Start at the average and add to it that many standard deviations. So algebraically and conversationally, it's saying the same thing. All you gotta do is plug it in. 1.64 times 15 plus 100, what do you get? It's like 120. 124.6. Let's call it 125. How about we just call it an IQ of 125. How about that? Which makes sense because it's below the 130, which it should be. You're letting more people in. They have a lower score. Is anybody pissed off about the equation? I'm sorry if you are. I didn't mean to piss anybody off. But if you don't like the equation, you can just think about it logically. Okay, I know I'm above average. Certain number of standard deviations above average. It's just a fractional one. So this is JT, your awesome 1/3 from before. This is how we can deal with it if they're not pretty. If they're not evenly spaced standard deviations. So ask me questions.
So superior is above 130, that's 2.3%.
Which means if you're superior, what do you automatically qualify for?
Mensa.
Mensa. If you have an IQ above 125, are you necessarily superior? Not necessarily. You might have an IQ of 126, which is not above 130, so you're not superior. Go ahead, keep going with your question, Kelly.
Oh, I lost it after that. I don't know.
I started talking.
I think maybe that answered it.
Maybe?
I don't even remember what the question was.
If you think of it again, let me know. Because Trey, you asked me a question, I promise you an answer in 7.5 minutes. Trey asked me a question, which was, what if it's between a certain percentage? Give me the percentages you gave me again.
I said 80 to 90.
80 to 90, in the 89%?
Yeah.
So in other words, what IQs would be between the 80th and 90th percentile? So this is a good, actually, you want to just answer that question? Rather than, we'll save the pregnancy questions for Tuesday. Yeah, let's just answer that question. What IQ scores would put you between the 80th and 90th percentiles? Actually, can I change the question? Can we make them below average so we get some negative z-scores mixed in too? Is that okay? Keep it with the spirit of what you guys are talking about, but then also make them negative. Because we look at a lot of positive z-scores in these examples. If we make them negative, then we can make peace with the fact that you can have negative z-scores. It's not a bad thing. It's fair? So here's a question from the class. I love it. Turn this off. Question from the class. Which... Did you think of your question yet, Kelly, or did I totally flush it? You did. Can you hold it until we finish answering this one?
Yeah.
Write it down. Yeah, write it down. Seriously. Whenever I run over and email myself something, it's because of that. So the question is, what IQ scores put you between the 80th and 90th percentile? Except we're going to change it. How about between the 10th and 20th percentile? Do you see how that would be symmetric? If we go 10th to 20th percentile, that's symmetrically opposite from 80 to 90. Right? 80 to 90 would be on this side. That would put 10% above, 10% below. 80% would be 20% above, 20% below. Is that fair if I do it that way? So which IQ scores put you between the 10th and 20th percentile? Do you guys want to try this on your own before we answer it together? Do you want to kind of go try it yourself, or you want to just do it together? Do it together? Okay, that's fine. Okay, between the 10th and 20th percentile, actually, I might put a third quiz up for you guys for next week if you want it. Just because I didn't have a general, you're making me think of more fun problems now. Maybe I'll put a third quiz up. Yeah. You guys, I've been tracking your guys' performances. You pretty much all of you are done with the quizzes you have to do. There's a couple of you that still have a couple to do, and there's one more in-class quiz next week, so you can count on that. So I might throw another quiz up just in case anybody's in that category where they need like 5 more. It's week 10. Hopefully that's not an issue. All right. So, first of all, can you see why it's backwards? Tell me why it's backwards. Not forwards. Remember what Lydia said earlier. Try to remember what Lydia. Lydia, sit back there. Say that again. I heard a voice. Michaela, go. Because I gave you the area. Actually, Trey and JT gave you the area. Between the 10th and 20th percentiles. Right? Between the 10th and 20th percentiles. So, here is the 10th percentile. Fair? And somewhere on that curve is an IQ score that does that. Is that fair? Somewhere there's an IQ score that does that. I just don't know where it is right now. There's also an IQ score, and it would have to be to this side, wouldn't it? To be the 20th percentile, it would have to be to this side, because 20th percentile means they beat 20% of people, which means they must have scored higher on the IQ test. Does that make sense? Those folks shade this way. It includes this green area, doesn't it? It has to include that green area. Okay? And this whole area now is P20. Actually, you know what? No, let's not write it that way. Let's call this 20%. Let's call this 10%. And let's call this is better language. This is P10. And this is P20. There. I was incorrect calling the area P20. P20 is not an area, it's a percentile rank that generates an area. So that's more mathematically correct. I apologize for that little goof. So theoretically speaking, it's two questions we have to answer. We have to find both of those z-scores, right? And then convert them both. So there's two backwards problems. Tell me what to ask, or you're just oh, straight shaking the watch. Good for you, good for you. So we got to find two z-scores. We got to find the z-score that chops 10%, and we got to find the z-score that chops 20%, and then once we have the z-scores, we're going to convert them to the raw scores. So that's why it's backwards. You start with the area, you go to the z, you go to the raw. So let's start. Practice right now. Use the normal to figure out where the z-scores are. We know where one z-score is. We know 0's in the middle, and that corresponds to 100. That corresponds to 100. Yes. That corresponds to 100. Our job now is to figure out how far down we got to get. Oh, what percentile would 100 be? Don't use your technology. What percentile would IQ score of 100 be? Jen, nice and loud? 50%. Because 100 cuts the curve in half, doesn't it? If you score 100, you're bigger than this half.
You're on the other side.
And you're smaller than, exactly. You're smaller than that half and you're bigger than that half. You're in the, you're the median. If you're at 100, you're in the median, you're the average, you're the mode, you're all those things. That's a spell sheet data. Good. Good. Let me see. I gotta put the calculator somewhere else now. I'll put it on the wall. Oops. Let's do this. See if I can get that in focus. That might be visible-ish. Visible-ish. Close enough. You guys got some z-score success? Forward, backward?
Backward.
Definitely backward because you have the areas.
Left.
Area shades?
Left.
Did you notice what option is not in the area shades?
Between.
I didn't give you between. Anybody think why I didn't give you between? Between seems like it would come in handy right now, wouldn't it? Because you guys asked the question, what percentiles would get you between the 10th and the 20th? And it kind of seems like it would be handy to have like a between 10%. Can anybody think of a reason why I wouldn't give you a between 10%?
Jesus.
Oh, let that question ferment in the back of your mind for the next 5 minutes, and we'll come back to it at the very end. I want to get this question too. So we're going to shade left, I think. It is. What percent you want to do first? 10? Okay, here it comes. There's the 10% area. Yes. 10% area. Negative 1.28. That's the z-score. That is the 10th percentile on the standard normal curve. That doesn't help us get an IQ score directly. We have to convert that to get an IQ score directly. Negative 1.28. You can see it right there, negative 1.28 on the wall. While we're in here, you want to just grab the one for 20% too while we're in the program? We'll just rerun it real quick, get to 0.2. Okay, and it's going to be further over at negative 0.84. The fact they're negative bother anybody? Shouldn't.
No.
They have to be negative because they are below average, right? They're below average, yes? That makes sense? Below average have to be negative. Average is 0, below average has to be negative. Fantastic. Don't need that anymore. Well, I mean, if you want, you do the arithmetic in it if you want. All you gotta do now is convert those to IQ scores using our little conversion over there that we just did, the algebra that Zach mentioned a few moments ago. So you take each of those and multiply it by 15 and add that to 100. Now, of course, it'll be subtracted because it's negative. Does that make sense? So to convert each of these to IQ scores, multiply them by 15, add them to 100, boom, Eric, go!
How do I get out of the program so I can do math?
Press enter again, and it gives you, eventually it gives you an option, more probs or done.
It's just control left hand and it's.
Well, you have to finish that problem first. Put some nonsense in, finish the problem. Just put in some goofy stuff.
Just turn it off and turn it back on.
Oh, does that work too? Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
It doesn't work for me, it comes right back to the ground.
Are you saying my program doesn't work? Because I'm not alive, I'm a little pissed right now.
I'm trying to.
Aaron saves the day.
It'll say quit. You press 1.
I wrote a pretty non-supple code. If you stop halfway through, you can't stop halfway through. And unless you turn it off, turn it back on again, or unless you finish the problem all the way and then go to done. So, I guess I should have given you like an escape hatch at any given. If at any time you want to stop, just press this button. I can rewrite it like that. Yeah, thank you, Aaron. Eric, happy?
No, but.
Not happy. Give me the damn thing. Give me the damn thing.
Well,
Oh, it's fixed now.
well, she got me there, but I don't know, like, when I get there again, I'll forget.
Just don't stop halfway through. Finish the problem all the way out. And then, Eric, the reason I say this is watch. Look up here. When you get to this point, you see how it says right there, more problems are quit?
Right.
Then just go to quit and then you're done.
No, it says done, right, but then I hit enter and it
You
doesn't.
have to clear it.
You, what do you hit enter for again? If you press enter, it's going to run the program again. But if you want, what you said was you want to do math. Just start doing math right then. If you start, watch. Let me just finish it again. Between -1 and 1, we know it's going to be 68%. Now watch. 68%. Quit. Start doing math. 2 + 2, 4. I mean, just start doing math right then. Just don't hit enter and then try to start doing math. It thinks like a computer. It's a German. I'm the Italian, it's the German. Okay. Well, I'm German too. You have to think like a German when you're using the machine though. Good. All right, here we go. Do we have conversions? Have you guys converted these for me? What are the IQ scores?
8.8.
What's this one here?
77.4.
87.4, we're going to call it 87. I love it. Let's do it blue so it matches. So if you have an IQ score of 87, 87 is the 20th percentile. That means with an IQ score of 87, you have beaten 20% of all people who have taken IQ tests. Fair enough? How about a 10th percentile?
80.8.
80.8, want to call it 81 for rounding? If you get an 81, you're in the 10th percentile. So if you score between those two, you're in that 10%. So, has anybody figured out why I don't give you a between option for backwards problems? It's tricky, and you might not see it. It's okay. Aaron, go ahead.
Is it, you don't have absolute values.
Right. The problem is 10% spans different horizontal regions, absolutely, depending on where you are on the curve. 10% near the...
Kind of like the weighted average.
Yes, it's exactly that, my friend. It's exactly that. 10% in the middle might only be that. That might be 10% of the curve. 10% out in the wings might take a vast wider range. So that's why you have to exactly weight it for position. So rather than giving you a between option, which creates more problems than it solves, I just gave you left or right, and you can combine them if you need be in a question like that to get what you need. Is that fair? Kelly, what was your question? You wrote it down.
Oh, no.
You never wrote it
Okay,
down.
yeah.
Remember it though.
Yes, okay.
Thank you guys for that question, by the way. Very
Now,
cool.
On the superior IQ at 130.
Yes.
That accounts for 2.3%.
Yes.
But the Mensa is above 125, right?
Right.
And that's 1.64%?
No. What was this for? Standard deviations above average.
Deviation.
Right. And this,
That's right.
Kelly, thank you. This is a perfect place to end the day. When you have standard deviations, do not confuse them with percentages, although it's tempting. It's tempting to look at 0.84 and go, oh, 84%. No! That is 0.84 standard deviations. It corresponds to a percentage, as we saw, but in itself is not a percentage. The percentages don't exist until you're up on the belt. We'll do more of those on Tuesday, yes? More of those on Tuesday? I think I'll put a third quiz up for you guys for next week. I didn't do a general normal quiz like we did today. I think I'll throw it up for you guys to play with. Cool? Grab me if you have questions about stuff you got back, yes?
Yes.
No. When, if I just took a lot of. I'm trying to get
It most likely Tuesday, but it could be Thursday too.
And I just won't, I'll make, I'll get it scheduled.
I wish my goal, I can tell you for sure if today stretched longer, and I'm glad it did. It stretched longer than I thought it was gonna stretch. And I thought I was gonna get all this done today and then not carry over to Tuesday. Because it carries, I'm not sure anymore.
Okay, well, I just want.
I'm gonna give you a percentage. 75% likely it's gonna happen on Thursday, 45% likely it's gonna happen on Tuesday. That's not too bad, you know. So it can be better.
I'll be careful though.
Excellent. So you need
I need something.
something, okay, so here's where it is, here's where it is.
I just know that
Where's your text?
they were like sending people there and making it zero.
You need to go to distributions. I'll send you a,
What is this?
normal CDF
That's where I was.
forwards problem.
72.
Okay, I'll share it with you. So for normal CDF,
20% was here.
it's gonna ask for lower and upper values. So our forwards problems are either left, right, or between. Between literally has a low and an upper value. Literally has a lower and upper value. For a left, technically speaking, there's no lower value. So you put in something like negative 100 instead. Upper value for a right, put in positive. That's the only difference. Okay? That's how you do a forwards problem. Backwards problem.
Yeah, I actually like it.
Go back to